What is up, guys? Happy Saturday night to everyone. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic weekend. I was hoping tonight to do something non-quad related, but I ran into a little bit of trouble with my 225 quad build and I decided, well, I gotta do something about it. Long story short, this is the build that we did a while back on the channel. This is the 225X frame, and it is a beast. This thing, holy smokes, is it fast and maneuverable. Much more so than my 210s. It is just a monster. But I'm getting all kinds of ESC motor noise on my video, and I'm wondering whether we can do something here and chase it down without disassembling the entire quad, because this thing is not easy to get at the electronics. This is a not terribly friendly system to get in there. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know what I'm thinking. I thought I'd join up with you guys real quick and just see where we end up. Cheers, Shanti, Armando, the only fan and beginners tech. Cheers, guys. All right, first step. Before you do anything on a quad, on the bench, get rid of the props. Trust me. There's always going to be a temptation to do things with the props on. Don't do it. It's just a really bad idea. This thing is insanely powerful, and it's seemingly just chomping at the bit for a chance to bite you. So we'll get rid of those, and we'll see if maybe we can show the interference we're getting. I know it's motor. Because we're live here, I can't show you a nice replay of the noise, but I took it out for a test flight this afternoon, so we have not done many flights on this thing, and it indeed, every time on a throttle punch, there's all kinds of horizontal lines in the video, which is kind of crappy because it's too bad, but it's not something I've run into on my builds before. So I'm thinking, well, first I already checked to see whether any of the motors were shorted to the frame, because you could technically have one phase of a motor shorted to the frame and induce all kinds of electrical noise and not affect the performance of the motor. It's usually done by putting too long of a screw in the frame or through the frame into the motor, and they all check fine. They're all 1 to 2 mega ohms to ground, just measuring from the frame, from the motor bolt to the ESC outputs to the phases. And I didn't find anything there, which is kind of what I hoped it would be, because that would just be my own fault and being dumb. But yeah, it was not. That was not the case. Take props off on planes too. Had a runway in the basement one time. Actually, so did I on my Instagram. I think way back about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. There was my big FPV plane, my monster. It got away from me in the basement. Put it that way. It was not desirable. Alright, so we got no props. We have communication. We have telemetry. It's working. Arm it. And this is just works beautiful. But we have all this noise. So let's see if we can see it. This is one of my really crappy FPV monitors. It's full of lines, horizontal lines. But maybe, just maybe, we can capture this motor noise. Yep, there you go. You can see that. Well, I can't see that because it's... let's see. Where can I get this? You'll have to look at the bottom of the screen. You can see the... Actually, that caused a complete dropout. So, there's our lines. Let's see what we can do. To be honest, I'm not that ambitious tonight to tear this thing completely apart to remedy this. So what I'm thinking is we have a quick look at the way I've done the video, and I can see something I already don't like, the way I ran the single video line to the VTX by itself and not with the power and ground as a twisted system as a twisted pair. I'm not sure that that's where it's radiating in, but it could. Now the question is can we do anything about that easily without having to disassemble this thing completely? This is the tricky part. So we could really shortcut this if we wanted. Because I can't get at the PDB, I'm going to turn on the soldering iron right now because I think I have an idea. The PDB, the power distribution board, is buried very deep on this quad and very, very difficult to get any spacing, but we can get at our ESC connections. So technically what we could do is, because these are little B30 amps and I know they're quite a noisy speed control, people have complained about bad batches and noisy ones. I haven't run into this, but we could tack on a capacitor right now and just see how it reacts, whether that reduces our noise, and if it did, well, we would be away to the races. So, catch up. It was a lot of fun trying to stop it. If you had the lights along the runway, turn the basement lights off. Alright. Now, the goodies. Have capacitors? If not, you should. Now, these are not all low ESR caps. You'll see the quad guys swear by using low ESR caps. It's completely mandatory, blah, 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 for noise filtering. Yeah, a low ESR cap will indeed work better for that, no question. But any standard cap, if it's of reasonable quality, will indeed work as well. So we're going to shoot for, I think, since we're running a 4S setup, here's a 50 volt 220 mic. I think in this heap over here, I've got some other ones. Here's some other ones. Here is, these are 330 mic 50 volt. That might be pretty good, but even better might be if we can fit 1,000 microfarad 50 volt. This is a little cheaper brand, but if we can fit that, what do I do with the props? Let's see. Can we, let's do it on the back. It should be hooked to the power distribution board where our LiPo power comes in, but if we can fit it right here as a test without getting in the way of the prop, yeah, we could go vertical here in this back corner and not get hit by the prop. Actually, we could, no, we can't go horizontal. We got to go vertical. So if I cut the heat shrink off of there, we could tack this on and just see how the electrical system reacts. Let's do that. I'm all for experimenting. We could fire up the scope too and see this, but really there's really no need, as I know what we're going to see is a hell of a lot of noise on this electrical circuit. But is that where the noise is getting into the VTX, or is it a problem with our power supply, the small buck converter that's on the power distribution board? I don't know, but we can find out. Probably this will be the easiest way rather than disassembling the whole quad. Let's do this. It's a little bit of a cheat, but proof is in the pudding, right? 1,000 mic, 50 volt. That should be great. That should be just fine for what we need. Cheers, guys. She is a Sleeman honey brown kind of a Saturday night. Beginner's Tech still working on his house. How is your house coming along, Beginner's Tech? Hopefully it's looking like a house again. All right. Which ESC do we prefer? I say we prefer this one. Now that I have some awesome heat shrink, I can pull these back apart later and reheat shrink them. and do a really nice job of it. And plus, this quad was not conformal coated like the other one. It was not waterproofed, so I'm tempted to actually pull these ESCs back off at some point and waterproof them like I did on the Red October build, but we'll see. Number one goal is to get it, well, it actually flies fantastic. Number one goal is to get it so that those annoying lines in the video aren't there. Truthfully, it's completely flyable. It's just none of my other quads have that noise, so I just can't tolerate it from this one. It just drives me right up the wall. Alright, there we go. Now, let's see if we can get a little bit better zoom level here. Perhaps, yes, perhaps that will work. Alright, negative side on the cap's really easy to identify, that nice big line. Speak up if you see me wire this wrong. So what we'll do is we're going to run it vertical to keep it out of the props. We're going to come in, we're going to bend the leads like so, and come in on an angle like so. I know this is going to be hard to see on this camera, but we'll do our best. Let's see if we can move these receiver antennas. Can we pivot those up a little bit and get them out of my way? Yeah, that'll be helpful. That will help. So although this will only be on one ESC, they are all tied to the same PDB, so this might give us a proof of concept where the problem lies. If it reduces it at all, well, we'll be on the right track. Alright. We'll see. And if it actually eliminates it, well, I'm just going to leave it right where it is, to be honest, even though it's not a perfect situation. But I have a motto: don't let perfect stand in the way of better. Alright. And this is 105C rated. This is a no-name Thong X, so this is not a low ESR cap, which is against everything the purists, they'd be having a heart attack. But I know for a fact that LC filters, we can indeed use non-low ESR caps just fine. They're just not quite as good. Alright, let's go ahead and solder this up. Iron's preheated. And let's go. Or maybe let's not, let's go. My iron hath fallen apart. What up with that? How did that get completely disassembled? Youch. I think I meant to change this iron out before, and I apparently did not. We'll just tin the ends of the cap just a little bit. We will check and see why my phone is ringing. Telemarketer junk. Negative side, we'll try and get it correct, so as we do not blow this up in our face. That will do. That will do. A little bit of solder on the iron. Now, that ESC is a big, heavy joint, so it's going to take some doing to get that to bond. I can't remember whether I've got any kind of a sealant on there. It kind of looks like I do by the way that reacted. I might have put something on there. Yeah, no, this iron is toast. It is completely broken at the handle. The Unger's warming up now, so we can swap this out if we need to. that will do for proof of concept. We have the cap, although it's wired vertical, it is actually out of the way of the prop, so we could technically leave it there if we need to. What do you think? Think it's going to work? Cast your vote. I don't hold out a lot of hope, but if this helps, even if it knocked it down by like 50%, I'd be very, very happy. Okie dokie. What is going on? With that. Okay. Negative to negative. Yep, it's not going to blow up in my face. That's good. Okie dokie. Let's see what happens when we arm it. Noisy. Still. Heavy, 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 heavy noise. Didn't change a damn thing. There's no cooling on these motors right now, so we better not run it very long like that. Alright, so we know that didn't help one bit. So, how far do we want to take this? We can take a look and see if... Well, let's clean up first. Let's shut that iron off, because that's just burning itself to pieces. We can see if maybe my routing of the camera and VTX wiring is the root of all evils here or not. It's highly possible that that is the issue. That because, well, I'd put it more likely, to be honest, that the PDB, the regulator on the power distribution board, is the root of the evils. The noise is being introduced through there, but it's really, really tough to say. There are multiple things that could be contributing here. Why is that a non-standard size? What the hell? I hate when hardware is cheap or damaged. I don't remember that getting damaged before, but it's pretty clear it did. Something is going on here. There we go. We'll be alright. We should be able to get in here and have a look at this VTX wiring. Just see what we're up against. If I don't see anything too terribly obvious, I may pop it back together and do a normal channel video on this, if it's deemed interesting enough, so to speak. Take the screw out of our camera, screw out of our camera, loosen it off, and we should be able to get the top plate and these spacers to fall out. And we did. The spacer does not want to come out. There. Alright. Oh, I did have a buzzer on this quad. Huh, interesting. I didn't think these Betaflight F3 boards, maybe I never made it work. So, I've got the video wire just laying there all by itself. And I did this because I needed to have a connection on it. And I'm wondering whether that connection is part of the root of our evils. So it's disconnected here now. I had just a little bit of hot glue on there holding it. Andrew's here. Cheers, Andrew. Hi. How are you tonight? How is everybody tonight? Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Raspberry Pi magazine video I put out yesterday. If you didn't see it, check it out. I'm pretty happy that I purchased that. If anyone has it in their budget, they're looking to have a endless source of Raspberry Pi projects, check it out. I'm really happy that I bought that. Alright, so Let's see if we can get that video wire. That video wire. I don't like the way I did that. I have this connector here because of the way the camera is, but there's no twisting, no nothing, and that was unshielded, doubled back on itself, very close to sources of potential interference, and a buzzer that doesn't work. I think what we should do, let's move that a little bit. Let's see if anything has changed now. Let's just try it and see. Now that we've moved that, let's see if it got any better or worse. If it changed at all, we can probably assume that it's something related with the way that that is routed. But I have a feeling it's not going to be. No, it's still here heavy. Well, it's not as bad. Or is it? I just got to look off camera. It is not as bad. It is not nearly as bad. That is diagnostically relevant. It's still there though, but it's not nearly as bad. Interesting. Interesting. Eric, did you get the Walmart RC car? That's what I'm wondering, Tomori Cat. I'm gonna that buzzer. This is the SP Racing F3, the fake one, clone, and I know there was problems with that buzzer circuit. I've disabled it in the firmware. I disabled it last night when I went ahead and did some things to this because I knew that none of these boards the buzzer worked on, and apparently when I built this, I left it in. Is it possible the noise is coming up that way? It's possible. I don't want to have to go down to the flight control to get at that. I'm just wondering if we take... I'm just wondering whether if I take my VTX connector, let's take this off before we cook the VTX. She's getting hot with no airflow. I'm wondering whether if I take that VTX connector off and get rid of this crappy connector that may or may not be introducing noise as well, and do a twisted pair right and just solder it direct and do it twisted right to the camera, right to here. The lines are shared right there, so there's no reason I couldn't. It's just inconvenient for routing. Let me just look. Maybe there is a reason I can't. And as well, I have the positive and the negative running behind the VTX. You know what? Let's get rid of it. Let's change the plan here. Bye-bye. Let's take that right off, because that might be a source of a problem right there too. The way those lines were running back on themselves behind the VTX, and no twisted lines for noise interference there. Now you can see how I had that video. Really crappy that I did that, and truthfully I don't know why I would have skimped there, but yeah, that's pretty much craptacular. So I say we fix this proper. This is easy to fix. If we twist those, that will allow some noise rejection right there. At least it will be introduced evenly into all wires, which by nature introduces noise rejection. Oh, anyway, back to the question I saw in the chat. Did I get the Walmart car? Yes, it arrived. I have not done a mailbag on that. I have the kids ride-on Power Wheels thing showed up for making a new Mars rover robot explorer project out of, and really excited for that actually. So I think what we'll do is we'll just solder these proper. It makes it harder to service later because we can't break that connection, but it is not the end of the world. The less of this video wire we can have hanging out. I know you guys can't see that worth beans. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Cheers, beginners tech. Have a great night. I gave up on buzzers, use ESCs. Yeah, this buzzer I know doesn't work. At the time, I thought that this rev of board would be functional, and now I know that's not the case. This particular rev of board has an issue that the buzzer cannot function. And actually, it's pretty funny. The Betaflight F3 board has the same freaking problem. My brand new Betaflight, like proper non-clone Betaflight F3 flight control on my Red October build, I go and hook the buzzer up and it's buzzing all the time. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So I go and look at the known issues on GitHub, and sure enough, they had messed up the PCB again. The same as SP Racing had done with the F3. So it's kind of funny. But not a big deal. I'm with you. I went ahead because of your advice, Tobermory Cat. I went and changed all my quads over to a 1 minute buzzer time on the ESCs, and as well as I mentioned last live show, I use the locator light lost model locator, so between the two I should have no excuse but to find them and shouldn't need a buzzer. If the battery's still on board, the ESCs will buzz. If the battery has been ejected, I'll have my locator light. Alright, I'm trying desperately to twist this camera wire, and I'm not having much luck. Wonder if I can unplug it from the camera. I probably put some hot glue on the bottom of it to prevent that from popping off. I just want to get a couple of twists on the signal wire around the power and ground wires. Truthfully, just the ground wire would be fine, but all three would be great, and then that way we introduce our noise equally between them. There, I got a couple of twists now. That'll do. It's not, yeah, I would like to have one more, but I don't think I'm gonna get it. Not easily. So I'll go ahead and tin that. Oh yeah, now it unplugs. You rotten thing. Alright, now it unplugged from the camera, so we'll go ahead and twist it correctly. Solder it up. It's not going to be easy in here because the sides are in the way. I should take it off. Am I still on camera? Yeah, this is pretty small stuff. It's hard for you guys to see. We'll just try our best. There. Oof. We're going to need some tiny heat shrink too. I got some incy-wincy heat shrink. Hardly. It's not incy-wincy, but it'll do the trick. Put a dab of solder on there, heat shrink it, then we're going to call it good. Yeah, cloned the issue. Just joining in, that Duran's looking awesome. Yeah, thanks, John. This is the one we built a while ago. This is a beast. This is the 225, the Dubai 225. She is a monster. But this video noise is intolerable, in my opinion. So let's make it tolerable. Alright, so I'll twist the other side here after we tin it. Then we'll solder them together, and then we'll do a retest, and we'll see how our video is. And if it is even slightly better than it was just a few minutes ago, we are in the zone of completely tolerable. Because I I think the next step, honestly, is the power supply on the power distribution board, and I have zero desire to dig back in that deep right now for this particular quad. I'd rather live with this noise than go back in there right now. Next time I have the quad apart, though, would be a different story. For some other reason, for repair or something. Say I was changing out an ESC or something. If that day comes, then we'll fix it right. We'll take the next step. Alright, can we get this to a position where we can solder it? Whew, fiddly stuff. She's little wires. There. That should be in a position where we can solder it, and we can still do the twisted pair after. Should be in good shape. With any luck. Good enough. That'll do. That'll do. Now maybe before we heat shrink that, we should try it. There should be little risk. No, let's heat shrink it because we're done. Let's not have that short. Let's not have that short for no good reason. Hot air rework station. As soon as I pull it off the cradle, it just starts warming up, does its thing. Once we get up to about 300 degrees or so, should be enough to just zap this. And she should sit right down all nice and spiffy. Underneath here, that ball of electrical tape is the RC receiver. When I assembled this a couple months ago, I didn't have the awesome DigiKey heat shrink that I have now, so I'd be tempted to pull that back out and do that proper as well, but one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Alright, now comes the fun part, getting the camera plugged back in. Seeing as how it's way down inside there, and it was kind of a bear to unplug. But we'll see what it does. These connectors are very fiddly. No, this is not. What do you know? We got it without taking it apart. How nice. Alright, plugged in. This other end, twisty, twisty, twisty. Twisty, twisty. Now, let's make sure we're not going to cause something new by locations of stuffs and whatnot. That's kind of twisted in there. That's twisted out there. Plug it in. Let's just see. Let's see how we did. I kind of think this is going to help. Ooh, those are tiny pins. Pins to the top, pins to the top. Plugged. Pins to the top, pins to the top. Alright, moment of truth. Transmitter on. What do you guys think? Think it's going to work? I don't think it can be any worse. I don't think it can be any worse. Oogie doogie. There's our screen. Idle. Ooh, this looks. Ha ha! Look at that. Look at that. None, hardly anything noticeable. Oh, I can't do. There's full throttle. Nothing. Other than wiggles when I accidentally hit roll axis. We are golden! Ha! What do you know? It's just that simple, guys. Alright. Ha! Well, that makes me exceedingly happy that we didn't have to dig into the entire quad. I am going to leave that capacitor on there because, well, it can't hurt to have some capacitance on there for a little bit of filtering, especially these little beasts. ESCs are notably problematic. Catch up with you guys. Oh yeah, Nightbot showed up. Good stuff. Should have been a surgeon. Awesome. Is there RF screen sleeve available? I'm not sure what you're looking at there. And we got, thank you, John. Be ruthless. Appreciate that. Cool. Yeah. It's funny, the way that I have the chat client, it actually still shows up on the stream that people watching the replay will actually be able to see this, but it doesn't show up on the main screen chat as to what the moderators and even Nightbot has been up to. That's funny. It's very good. Very, very good, actually. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, anyway, cool. Good stuff. Get rid of the retards. I'm good with that. All right. We are, oh, let's get that unplugged. The VTX is getting hot because it's not got any airflow. I'm going to go ahead and install this back together. I don't think I need to stream that live, but because this is the Cliff Notes. Just that simple. I have no doubt that I can keep that noise out of there now, and this will be a fantastically suitable quad now, because the flight characteristics are amazing of this thing. I simply love it. It was only that video noise that drove me up the wall. So we're good to go. I'll throw this back together. I may take this buzzer off, and I may heat shrink this receiver, but I may not. I think what I'll do is I'll just plug it back together and take it out and see what other little quirks pop up and make sure, because it's only got a couple of flights under its belt. So. And what we'll do is we'll change out this this camera as well. The camera is okay, but the lens is no bueno. I have a spare GoPro 2.5 millimeter 170 degree field of view lens, and if this works as good as I think it does, it's getting that lens, and this is going to become a daily flyer, and I'm going to be super, super happy. This thing is just a nutcase to fly. It is. Hang time times 10. It's nuts. So, all right, guys, mission accomplished. Thank you, John. And did you put a GoPro lens on the camera? No, not yet. As I discussed, not quite yet. Once she earns her wings, she will get that GoPro lens, and then I'll be happy. This is a really good design. I like this. This is the Dubai 225 from GearBest. This is standard 225. Same frame for all of them, but I love how the camera is indeed just behind the frame and just protected, just beautifully protected, that when you smash it into the ground, you're not hitting the camera, unlike many other quads. And all the electronics and everything, it's got to take something really aggressive to get in there at that. I really like the design of this, but it is not what people say it is. Many people have called it a beginner build. It's good enough for beginners. It is not. It is a pain in the butt to fit these wires, and I did kind of a cruddy job on this one. I'll do better next time, but it's a fight to fit everything in there, but totally worth it. I'm tickled. I'm really happy now. I do love the Red October build much better. I'll be honest, just because, well, it's just a beast, but this is going to be a fun one too. All right. Predict your next frame will be a Stretch X. That's a pretty good prediction. I have been looking at the Stretch X frames, and well, it seems to be the popular thing. I'm not one for the hype train though, to be honest. Like, I'm still flying those 210 frames and loving them, whereas the rest of the world has left them in the dust probably 8-10 months ago. So, but I'm curious about a Stretch X. We'll see how the funds go. All right, guys, have a fantastic night. So glad you could join me. Make sure you click that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel. Cheers, guys.